Hey, so today is September the 12th, and a few days ago the new iPods came out. I was gonna get an Ipod Classic, and I was gonna look at a bunch of reviews online and stuff, but there were no YouTube reviews of any unboxing of any of the new iPods, so I figured I'd make one. And here is the brand new Ipod Classic with 160 gigabytes. See, shows how big it is, how thin it is, and all the stuff on the back. Plastic is very hard to get off. So, take the plastic off and, very nice. Obviously, the iPod. We have this weird plastic thing. And of course, you have your dock connector, standard Apple earbuds connector, and there's no instruction manual. It's weird. I don't know if there's anything in here. Oh, I stand corrected. There is an instruction manual, as well as 2 fun Apple stickers. So, the Ipod Classic. It's the same thin iPod, always was. The original one. 160 gigabytes. It's awesome. And along with it, I got this Belkin case for it. It's a hard shell case. It's great. Hopefully, it does everything. Hopefully. I don't really know how it's going to end up being, but what I'm going to do is, this is completely wrapped up, so I'm just going to immediately unwrap it and put it in the case. Then it'll be in perfect condition, forever, as long as the case holds up. This is kind of cool. How do you open it? Do you do anything? Okay, but, this is the sound that everyone loves to do with an electronic. Oh, shoot. That's not good. See, the problem with it is it's now perfect, but, in a few months, if you just don't put it in the case, it gets all scratched up, fingerprinty. So, very carefully, I'm gonna dust off the screen a little bit, and how does this work? Ooh, I like this. It doesn't really add much bulk to the iPod. Has a screen protector. I'm not going to take that off. And it has a click wheel connector. So, here's the iPod. I'll turn it on for the first time. Ooh, I like this case a lot, actually. And see, the case is going to get really fingerprinty, but at least the iPod inside will be fine. And I can still charge it and everything inside the case. Language, English. Not a very good first impression with the click wheel. It's a little laggy. So here it is. And I'll plug it into iTunes and later. So I've been playing with this iPod like all day, and overall it's just as good as the 120 gigabyte Classic, the 80, or the previous 160 gigabyte one. Except it lags less, cover flow is pretty good, and it works well. The thing about the Ipod Classics 2 years ago, they came in 80 and 160 gigabyte models. They always lagged, cover flow was terrible, everything was all a mess, hard drives would always crash. And then when they made the 120 gigabyte one, they fixed the problem largely. So you could notice a pretty good difference. And now they have fixed the lagging and all that stuff, like 95%. Obviously it hasn't frozen yet, but it lags a tiny bit, but hardly any, and it's still good. But I'm gonna give you a tip about buying a case for it. Let me just switch hands here. Oops. See what I'm doing? I'm using the click wheel like any normal way, and it's like not really working well. And it's really annoying. And the reason of that is because of this new case, although my dog's barking. But anyway, because of this case, even though it looks really cool, the problem is there's a plastic thing that's blocking, it's in front of the click wheel, which makes it a lot less responsive. So, you see how bad that is. And then, as I show you just the naked iPod, it works fine. So definitely, when you're buying a new iPod, when you're buying a case, make sure it doesn't cover the click wheel, because that is really not good. So now for a minute, I'm going to talk about why I got an Ipod Classic rather than a Touch or a Nano. And I didn't really know where to point the camera, so I'm just going to keep it focused on my fish. So, yeah. So the reason I got the Ipod Classic rather than a Touch or a Nano is because I have such a huge media library. I have so much music, movies, TV episodes, all that stuff. And, I'd just rather be able to carry all of that with me. That's more of the original purpose of the iPod. So, now when I go to school, whenever I have free time, I can, watch a movie with my friends or something. And, the iPod Touch, the internet is cool, and all the games and applications are fun and all that, but it's just, it gets overwhelming, and it'll get boring after a while. Even though you can always download more games and apps and stuff, still, it gets boring, and the battery life is really terrible when you're doing that kind of stuff. I want what the iPod was originally intended to do, play my music, and videos also. But, it's like, people don't buy an iPod just to play music anymore. Now people buy it, now people buy it to play games and apps and all that stuff. A lot of teenagers whose parents won't buy them a cell phone, they just buy an iPod Touch and use the text-free app so they can text. So it's just like, and the Nano with the video camera. So it's just, I want to get something that can do what an iPod does. And the Nano couldn't hold all my stuff. And also, I don't really like the Nano that much. I think it's too small. So, the Ipod Classic, it's a good device, and it's definitely great for $250.